Let's go, let's go, let's go. Here I am back in the middle. All right. What's going on, party people? Hello, Robert. Hello, Arturo. Hello, John. Oh, I am swampy. Lord, what is happening? I am a swampy mess tonight. It is humid. It's Monday, July 14th, 2025. So, got a couple things on my mind, few things actually. I am in utter disbelief about certain things that are going on. Hello, Danny. Good to see you. So, I'm not even sure which order to go in, but I'll just start. And for the few of us in here, please tap the screen, start sharing the live to the live. What happened? Did I turn Swedish there? Uh, start sharing the live so we can attract other people. Hey, Goat, what's up? TB12 Goat, good to see you, man. I know it's late for you. I appreciate that you stopped by. Um, Grizzly Bear, good to see you. So I'm going to start bringing people up in a minute, but I wanted to sort of lay out a couple of ideas that I want to talk about tonight. And as always, wherever the conversation goes, it goes. I'm always fine with that. I'm not married to my topics. I'm not married to my agenda. I just want to, do the do. All right. So there's a couple of things. Let's start with the one that pisses me off the less. Okay. So Donnie Dump last week, either Thursday or Friday, I think it was Friday, um, was asked a question about some serious issue that's ongoing in real time, a real thing. A reporter asked him a pretty hard question, which is unusual at the White House these days. He normally gets lobbed softballs, but it was basically like, how can a decision like this be made without you knowing? And of course, word salad ensued, but one of the things that he said, because he loves to appear aloof and casual and like, I'm on top of everything. Hello, Brenda. Good to see you. He said, I haven't thought about it. Hello. Something enough love. Um, so is that JM? JM enough love? Yeah. So I tried to think of all the presidents I have seen on television speaking about issues of importance. I'm 61 years old. The first president that I saw on television was Richard Nixon. And without delving into his train wreck of an administration, I'll talk about all the presidents since then. So from Nixon on, I've seen a bunch of presidents answer questions at the White House. And when it comes to important questions, ongoing issues, immediate matters, the one thing I have never heard a president say ever was, I haven't thought about it. It's totally on brand for Dump. I have been saying for a while now that this administration is not incompetent. They can't be. In order to be incompetent, you have to fail at something that you're trying to do. They're not trying to govern America. Therefore, they literally can't be incompetent. They're evil, they're craven, they're dishonest, they're corrupt, they're thieves, no question about it. Although for legal purposes, I probably have to throw in allegedly. But they're not incompetent, right? But imagine you have, and this is hard to imagine because it's a very unique thing, and only a handful of people have experienced this. But imagine that you are the most powerful human being on planet Earth, and you are standing in front of the White House press pool, and you are asked a question about an important matter, and your response is, I haven't thought about it. Hi, CompuBear. Thank you for reminding everybody tapping is clapping. My goal for 2 hours that I plan to be up here is 100,000 likes. That means all of your fingers have to get very busy and share the live. That's as important as tapping. Share out the live to 50 of your friends, and let's get people in here. So MAGA Rule says, what do you think about the criminal investigation into the crooked Dems? Oh, you're so consistently a MAGA hat propaganda parrot. That's so funny. What did Dump say he didn't know? It won't matter to you. You're a cult member. So, and you haven't come up in the past when I've invited you. So I am already tired of hearing from you. I will never have to see your dumb username again. And after my next sentence, I will never think about you again. So, I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated by the idea that a president can answer a question that is a matter of national importance with, I haven't thought about it. That's just wild to me. Absolutely wild. And the fact that every reporter in that space didn't jump up and insist on getting a clearer answer is part of the problem. That's another topic. I don't know if I'll get into that tonight, but I've made my feelings pretty clear in the past about how journalism has completely failed in America. JM Nuff Love. Oof, easy for me to say. JM Nuff Love. So who is running the country if he didn't think about it? Well, so I get that that's a rhetorical question. If I could only speak tonight. Oh man, I'm too fat and too sweaty. So, Dump has never run America, not for 1 second. He is a puppet. If he were more of a puppet, we would literally see the strings. Okay. He is a puppet. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I have a live goal of 100 roses right now. So anybody that wants to contribute a coin for a few roses, please feel free. So, JK, hi, welcome. The topic is it's twofold. It's the fact that the Oval Office is empty even when Dump's in it. because he's not running anything. And we're going to get on to a story that developed over the weekend. It might have been either yesterday or today, as a matter of fact. So there's this guy who's an author. He's a right wing author. He is to dump what Nietzsche was to Schmittler. For those of you who are not familiar, Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche was a very famous and well-renowned and well-respected German philosopher. He wrote ideas like God is unalived, the concept of good versus evil. He talked about the concept of the Übermensch, which is Superman. And Schmittler decided that A, the Aryans had to be the Übermensch, and B, another group of people had to be eliminated. So, Curtis Yarvin is the guy who actually started the Red Pill movement. And again, oh, gee, thank you. I see you. How you doing? So for anyone who's not familiar with the Red Pill movement, because you don't necessarily have to be, it's not necessarily important that you are, but it is an interesting movement. It's basically a bunch of guys who can't get women, who are expressing their anger at women and blaming women for their failure. Because this is a little known but very significant statistic. Throughout world history, only 40% of men have reproduced. 80% of women, roughly, have reproduced, but only 40% of men. So that's how nature works for whatever reason. And the guys that are in the 60% are sometimes angry. Thank you for helping me get that live goal. I'll go ahead and reboot it. Let's see. I didn't check those settings because I barely got on in time. I think where's the community heart? I like that goal. Oh, you know what? Just because I'm into self-affirmation today, I'm going to say, love you so much. 1 coin each. And we're going to go for 100 of those. So there's my new goal. So, hello, Vicky. The Red Pill guys are a bunch of angry losers blaming women for their lot in life. And Yarvin is the one that taught them to do that. And there's a few very big channels on YouTube that are playing into this zeitgeist. And a few of the people that are acolytes, I think is the right word, of Yarvin's are Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, and Stephen Miller. And I think it was CompuBear that wrote his name earlier. Oh, OG Nerd, you listened to Richard III. Excellent. You loved it. That's spectacular. Thank you for that feedback. It has opened up a whole new world of Shakespeare to me because I have not read all of his plays. I found a quote from Richard II that I really love. I'm going to do that one next. And then there's some others. But anyway, yeah. So, yes, Lynn Bob, excellent point. Project 2025 Minions. CompuBear vote. Now, are you referencing the a real person, or is that the fictional company in The Boys? But anyway, Oh, Russell vote. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Oh, wait, I think those are two different. I think those are connected. I'm not sure. Author of Project 2025. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So, and all of these people are in that ecosystem of red pill guys. And of course, red pill is an allusion to, oh, is Russell his pen name? Because I think I remember hearing that Yarvin had a pen name or something. Whatever. Anyway, or Yarvin is his pen name. I forget what it is, but anyway. Um, so in my opinion, these are the people that are running the country, along with the clutch of billionaires that have infiltrated government, and um, to a degree that I've never seen before. Of course, businesses have always been involved with government because businesses have always been here to. I'm sorry, government has always been here to serve businesses. So there's nothing new there, but I've just never seen it to this degree. Oh, there it is. Yes. So Curtis Yarvin's pen name is Mencius Moldbug. Moldbug. That's funny. Mencius Moldbug. That's so sad. Yes, JK, I agree wholeheartedly. They are absolutely running the country and using the orange buffoon as a distraction. I completely agree with that. All right, folks, we made it to 10,000 in 17 minutes. That is a good pace. That's where we need to be. So keep it going. I appreciate your efforts. Invite more people in here. Let's share out the live as much as possible. I'm trying to get better at remembering to stop and ask for your help. So bear with me on that. So, that's why it doesn't surprise me every time Dump attempts to act cavalier and on top of things by saying that he hasn't thought of something. Skis. I'm going to have one person come up right now, but I'm going to go back to talking about, whoops, what I want to talk about. So, Skiz, I remember your name. I've invited you up, so please come up. I don't see you. You asked to come up. I invited you. I don't see you yet. I don't know if it's Skiz or Skis. People are following Orange Buffoon because Tech Bros wouldn't get the cult following. I'm not sure that's true. That might be true, but I saw the devotion that people have. Danny, you're saying I'm missing the request up, so I can request up in the box. Oh, I don't know. I don't know why. I certainly haven't changed anything, but I'll invite you up in a moment. I did invite. Okay. Yep. I see that. No, I know. I remember him, Vicky. But thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. So what I'm going to do, since Skis did not, he asked to come up and then didn't come up. So he's going to be muted for the rest of the live because I just won't abide that kind of nonsense. So I'm going to keep talking for a couple minutes more and then I'll start bringing people up. So all that to say, I believe that Dump is in for a rude awakening. His ego is no doubt telling him that he's running things. Like I don't know who saw the film Black Dynamite, but there was a character that sang out, "I'm running things." So Dump thinks that. Dump thinks that the world revolves around him and that he's the guy in charge and he's the president, and he likes to strut that around. Like sometimes if people um, displease him with a question, he's like, how dare you talk to the president like that? So he's totally wrapped up in the power trip. Hey, Penelope, I see you. Thank you for sending gifts. So here's why I think he's in for a rude awakening. I think that his puppet masters, the people pulling the strings, the people truly in control, um, are going to sacrifice him eventually. When the heat starts coming down, and this might not happen, there is no guarantee that Dump is ever going to face accountability. But if he does, if there's a situation where the law starts coming around in any kind of significant way, like I'm not convinced we're going to have a midterm, but if we do, and the Democrats get in power and they have, veto proof votes. So again, that's a lot of ifs that have to line up, right? Then I think he's going to be thrown under the bus by his puppet masters, because they ain't going to jail. They're running the world right now. So they're not facing anything. This idea that good guys never, what is it? Bad guys never prosper. Evil never prospers. Bullshit. It prospers all the time. Okay. That's what they teach good people to keep them good, but bad people don't live by those rules. Right. So that's my theory of that. And that's why his answer of I haven't thought about that bothered me so much, because it's just more evidence that he's a fucking buffoon. I am having trouble talking tonight. And I left my water over yonder. So I'm on my own. So the second thing I want to talk about is a story that I heard in passing. I haven't gotten all the details, but just what I heard was so horrifying to me that I've been yelling about this stuff since 2015. Finally, people have caught up and are saying, yeah, this is a problem. This administration is a problem. What he's doing is a problem. America is facing some really, really horrifying situations right now, and some real potential for long-term damage. And it's coming at the hands of people who are emulating 1930s Germany. And I don't care what anybody says. You cannot convince me otherwise. You cannot convince me that I'm wrong about this. I am open to be wrong about many, many things. Many things. I have a long history of being wrong about a whole bunch of shit. I don't have an ego like that. But I know I'm right about this. I know that this administration parallels the administration in Germany from the early 20s to the early 1940s. That's just a fact. People can be in whatever denial they want or whatever ignorance they're in. That's fine. That doesn't change the facts. I have a feeling that my tongue has swollen or something, because I am really struggling to speak. But I'll get through it. I'll get over it. This isn't the first time. Fat and humid is not a good situation, but it's a first world problem, so I can't really complain. But here's a second thing that's troubling me. Apparently, over the last couple days, a disabled military veteran of the U.S., of America, who is an American citizen with zero criminality in his history, was taken. His family have no idea where he is. They've called everywhere. every police precinct, every hospital, every detention center, any place that they could imagine to call, they've called. And they don't know where this man is. They broke his car windows. I'm not sure the order. I'm assuming it started with breaking in his car windows as he was trying to back away from the situation. And maced him at some point, dragged him out of the car at some point, arrested him, and took him away to who knows where. And the man literally did nothing wrong. He is the extreme opposite end of the profile that they gave us of who they were looking for. People in the country illegally with a criminal record that was violent. That's what they said. Which, by the way, represents less than 10,000 immigrants. But that's what they said they were after. And look how much the goalpost has moved. We've gone from one extreme of violent illegal residents to a disabled military veteran with no criminal record. Okay. Kurt H., I'm inviting you up because you're saying propaganda parrot nonsense, and I don't want you wasting anybody's time typing. I want you to come up and talk to me. I want you to substantiate the absolute nonsense you just said. I know you can't, but I've invited you to come up anyway so that we could all see that you can't. And while we wait for Kurt to never get here, everything that they've said, virtually every word that the MAGA Republican Party has said about immigration, especially in the last year and a half, has been a complete lie. Well, you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to change that to 5.5 years. Since Biden's first day in office, January 20th, 2021, he signed, he basically put forth a bill. He said, let's shore up this immigration situation. So Kurt did not come up. So he is now muted for the entire live. I don't abide cowards. So everything that I thought was a danger. Hi, Traffic Man. Good to see you. Everything that I thought was a danger in 2025 and worse has happened. In 2025, when I said dump sounds like Schmittler, I was concerned immediately because that means something to me. I don't make that comparison lightly. I would never. A third of my family is Jewish. I was raised for 27 years by a Jewish stepfather. So I am well aware of the significance of comparing anyone or anything to that time. It is not something that I relish. It's something that I wish I had been wrong about, truly. Because I'm not happy that I was right, believe me. No part of me enjoys the fact that I was right about this. But this is where we are. Because when you're getting $45,000 a year bonuses and you've been given essentially an unlimited budget, you're going to start rounding people up. Now you have pressure. You've been given all this money, and now they're pressuring you to fill their pop-up prisons. So you're not going to discriminate. You're going to snatch up whoever's at arm's length. And even if you a little bit match the profile, there's a target on you. As if life wasn't already horrendous for immigrants in America. Now they have to be terrified all the time because of a real threat to their safety. So I'm going to start bringing people up now. Oops, let me go over here and do this. Let's go first with Danny. Vicky, come up. OG Nerd wants to come up. Excellent, excellent. And let me go down the list. All right, all right, all right. Pardon me while I do my tech thing and rearrange some windows so I can see stuff. We've got OG Nerd. We've got Vicky. Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Danny, I tried to invite you up. Hopefully I did. Let me try again. Nope, the invite is still good. So go ahead. OG Nerd, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am doing wonderfully. I'm doing even better now that you've given me the thumbs up on my reading of Act 1 from Richard III.
You did a great job.
Thank you, and I mean that. Like, you know, as I said earlier, not everybody's opinion counts to me. Not everybody's opinion matters to me because some people have uninformed opinions. But because of your background, your opinion matters to me with regard to that. Even though it's in a sense entertainment, I know it's work that's significant to you and it's significant to me. So the fact that you like it and because you suggested it, you know, I'm so thrilled that you did because I was focused on the sonnets and I'm still going to complete the sonnets, but now I'm going to venture out into soliloquies because you know, there's so many amazing Shakespeare soliloquies. I don't know how many there are altogether, but there's got to be a good chunk.
Oh, there are. There are plenty of soliloquies.
Yeah. I just watched Hamlet 2 nights ago.
Oh, I love Hamlet.
Yeah, I watched Mel Gibson's Hamlet. I'm going to watch David Tennant's Hamlet. You know what? I forgot to put that on my list the other night. I'm glad I'm reminding myself now. Because
the play's the thing wherein
yeah.
I'll catch the conscience of the king.
Yeah. I think this might be the one, 2021. No, wait. Or is that the one? I think that's the one. I'll do that one. I'm going to watch a few of them because I totally love that play. Because for most of my life, even though I'm a happier guy now, when I was younger, I was a rather tortured soul. So when I finally locked into who Hamlet was and the circumstances of his life, I totally related to that character. I'm guessing there's other characters that I probably will also relate to on some level, but I can't imagine a character that I would relate to more and more closely because Hamlet just speaks to me. Hamlet just he gives voice to my inner life, So, uh, the fact that aside from such a powerful portrayal that Gibson did, just the fact that so much of what we say today comes from Shakespeare. So many little sayings that people just throw out, don't even realize that they're Shakespeare sayings. Like if we
Well,
call a crooked lawyer a shyster, right?
Oh, they attribute them to the Bible, though, right?
Sometimes,
Yeah, they're cleanliness is next to godliness.
right?
And they'll attribute that to the Bible, and I'm like,
I
no,
think,
that's Shakespeare.
yeah, wasn't that Polonius who said that?
Ophelia's father,
Yes, Polonius. Yeah,
Polonius,
yeah,
when he is giving all the advice,
right,
there's a list like a
right,
mile long,
right.
and there's all those sayings that we're so familiar with.
You know what I love is that the director was very, very detail oriented in Gibson's Hamlet, because when Polonius was trying to explain to the king and queen that Hamlet might be nuts, you saw how annoyed they were because they think he's a buffoon. They think Polonius is just an annoying idiot, and the king kept looking at his wife and rolling his eyes. So it was very subtle. And if you were only looking at Polonius, you would have missed it. But if you're scoped out and watching the whole scene, you'll see that because that's the sign of a good actor who's part of a scene, but he's not speaking, he or she is not speaking, but they're still engaged and they're reacting to the speaker in a very naturalistic way. I find that just the height of entertainment.
Right. And that's a good director, too.
Yes. I think it's almost entirely the director. I mean, it's possible the actors pick up on these things. It's possible the writers intended these things, but I think most of the time, from all the documentaries I've watched of like how directors interact with the work, that usually comes from a director, and that means that director had a very deep understanding of the text.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, thank you again. I appreciate that you took the time, and I need to check out what?
You need to check out Othello.
Oh, I love Othello. Lawrence
Fishburne?
Yes, I think that's the only version that I've seen all the way through. And oops, it said something went wrong. Whoever just invited up or asked up, you can come up. So for some reason, Danny did not come up. I don't know if maybe he got a phone call or something like that, or is he still there? I don't see Danny. He might have dropped out for some reason.
Danny was never able to get up.
Well, he wasn't able to request up, but I invited him.
Yeah, he said he couldn't. It didn't work whenever you did that.
Okay, so I'll invite Traffic Man and I'll invite Danny again. Let's take a look-see. Right now, I don't even see Danny in the list.
And apparently the others can't see us.
Gotcha.
For whatever reason.
But they can hear you. So this is a TikTok glitch, obviously. All right, that happens.
Yeah, I know Blue ML, she even restarted her phone.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, it's a huge platform. Shit's gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
So I invited Danny up again. Let's see if that works this time. So what I was talking about, and just as a reminder, if you're tapping the screen, please mute yourself. What I was talking about was this horrendous situation with this disabled veteran with no criminal record that just got snatched up. Traffic Man says he didn't get the invite. Okay, obviously something's going wrong with TikTok. So, yeah, because it shows that I invited you. So, whatever. It's a glitch. Shit happens. Um. So, have you heard about this story? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? I guess we could start with Vicky.
I have heard of the story, and I have also heard the sister and the wife of the young man plea with people trying to find out, and it is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was crying when I
This
listened to
is
his
not.
daughter speak. It's because it's like
Yeah,
getting close
it's
to her
just.
birthday or something, and like she doesn't know where her father is.
I know, and this stuff is happening. I mean, in my town, last week we had two plainclothes men walk into a Hispanic grocery store and act like they were shopping, and they found who they were looking for, grabbed her, took her out, and for all intents and purposes, it appeared that she was being kidnapped. Thankfully, somebody followed them, and they did take her to the local jail. But you know, if they had, this is not right. I mean, they did not have masks on. They just were dressed like your basic redneck dudes.
Right. Danny, it seems like people are not getting my invites. Traffic Man said he didn't receive it. I'll send it again, and if not, it's just obviously some kind of TikTok glitch because Eddie just requested up, OG Nerd requested up. So I don't know why some people can and some people can't. But I just sent you the invite again. Hopefully it'll work. So OG Nerd, what do you think about that situation?
Um, I think it's tragic. I think what we're seeing overall is tragic. Uh, just if you look at Alligator Alcatraz, 33% of these detainees have no criminal record.
I heard it was actually
The,
higher than that. I heard 90%, but maybe they were talking about something else.
um, and we're probably detaining citizens because
Oh, we are. That's already
Maxwell
been proven.
Maxwell Frost said that he visited the facility and somebody was crying out, "I'm a citizen, I'm a citizen."
Mm-hmm.
And he said the conditions were deplorable, that there were 32 people crammed into a cage, and only four facilities for those 32 people to use. It's horrendous.
Yeah, agreed. Eddie, we're talking about the veteran that got snatched up for no reason. Have you heard about this story?
Yeah, there's way too much of that kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the majority of what's going on shouldn't be. And to piggyback on the Florida stuff, my comment on that is hypothetically, let's assume that these people are criminal. They're not, but hypothetically, this is not the way that we're allowed to treat criminals of war. I mean, prisoners of war. You know, I
Right.
mean, this is not the way human beings, even if they were guilty of something, which they're not, the majority of them. But it's just ridiculous.
I see it as a really vivid reflection of the cruelty that's always existed in America. Because I am a big believer that America has had this level of cruelty baked in since 1492. When you read Columbus's journal and see the things that he wrote, because he had complete impunity, and he talked about selling little girls into slavery for men's physical pleasure. He talked about, you know, how easy these people were because they were so nice, how easy they were to conquer, all of the brutality inflicted on these people because he had to keep them in line. So he was lopping off limbs and doing all this other wild shit just because he could.
Because he could. Yep.
Right. And I remember that I just reminded myself that Clinton, when Clinton finally came clean about the Lewinsky stuff, that's what I remember him saying. He said, I did it for the worst reason possible because I could. And I have to commend him for his level of honesty as a former president because he's admitted to mistakes, which normally you don't hear presidents do. So because you could is just one of those power corrupts kinds of things, right? Just because you can do it, it doesn't mean you should do it, right? And that's where we are right now. These people that are in power have had this kind of hatred in their heart for a long time, probably their whole life. And now that they're in a position to inflict pain and suffering on people, even though they don't have to, there's no reason to, they're doing it because they can. And I think that's a shame.
It just infuriates me. I know I've said this before, but this is not the world that I grew up in. I'm just a little bit older than you, and yeah, I grew up in the YT little suburbia and, in a suburb of Houston that, we were insulated and, everything was, nothing like this happened. Yeah, I grew up during the Vietnam War and but I was a child. I didn't see the actual, I didn't understand what was happening. I just know that we plotted where a friend was on a map as best we could. So we had this huge map of Vietnam on the wall, and he would write letters and say, well, we were here, but he couldn't say where he was, just where he had been.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, he did not come back the same. And so many of those men did not come back the same. And he's now found his path, and he does all the honor guard for people at we have a national cemetery here in town. Mm-hmm. And he does one in Houston, and he actually was part of the honor guard for my dad.
Wow.
So,
well, you hit upon my main issue with nostalgia. When you said you were a child and you didn't understand. That's the problem with nostalgia. The people that say, oh, the 50s were such an innocent time. And I go, you sure about that? The Korean conflict was going on. Children in grade school were doing drills under their desks in case an atomic weapon went off. There were signs that says YTs only. Is that your version of innocent? Because it ain't mine. And so that's why I completely dislike nostalgia. It's like, yeah, of course the world was wonderful for you. You were a child. Children go through the world without identification, without money, without keys. All your meals are provided for you. Your shelter is provided for you. People are looking out for your safety 24/7. Of course, and of course, not every child's life was great. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you're going to be nostalgic about anything, it makes sense to be nostalgic about your childhood. But that nostalgia doesn't reflect the real world. There was still horrendous shit going on all around you every day.
Oh,
And
yeah, I
depending,
remember the atomic drills.
right. And depending on your place in the pecking order of society would determine how much of the ugliness you would see. See, because when people tell me, oh, America suddenly is this, I go, not for me. None of this
Yeah.
is new for me. None of this is sudden or different than anything that I've ever experienced in America. Nothing. The new level of cruelty is unprecedented in my lifetime, but it's not unprecedented in America's lifetime. You know? So, I mean, you know, all this nostalgia is horseshit to me. Because it's always people remembering a time that never existed. What they're remembering is a circumstance of their life, not an era in America.
I can see your point. You know, I like we've talked before, I did grow up with privilege. You know, the YT privilege. You know, I was not a silver spoon privileged child by any means. You know, my family was your basic middle class, and but I had that YT privilege that I didn't even realize I had until probably 15 years ago. But when you know better, you do better.
Right. And thank you for pointing out something that I usually lead with in the conversation about privilege. Financial privilege is only one aspect of privilege. There are many different gradations of privilege. You know, like part of my privilege is living in the first world, right? Another part of my privilege is being born a man. But that's where my privilege ends. I've never had economic privilege. I've never had racial privilege. And I don't judge anybody. I don't judge anybody who is part of the majority population in America for not knowing what my life has been. I know you all can understand what it's been. You're all intelligent people. But none of you can know. Like, you know, it's like I understand what childbirth is. I participated in bringing one person into the world. But I don't know what being pregnant is because I didn't experience that. So there's no way I could know what that's like. I can understand it. I went to high school. They showed us the films and explained how all that worked, but I can't know. And once in a while, when I'm in lives that are predominantly minority, which is a funny phrase, they sometimes get angry at people who are attempting to empathize. When a YT person will turn to minorities and say, you know, I relate to what you're saying, sometimes they get snapped on pretty bad. I don't think that's the best way to handle it, but I understand where that comes from. Like, stop saying you fucking relate to me. You don't. There might be some aspects that you get, that you understand because you're an intelligent person, but please stop trying to join in on this thing that you're not part of. Again, I that's not where I come from. I get that. And I feel that sometimes when people are talking, because sometimes people say absurd things to me. I was on a first date with a YT woman who happened to be a nurse. And during that date, she looked me in my eyes and said that because she's a nurse, she knows what it's like to be black in America.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
An adult woman
That doesn't
actually
even make
said that
sense.
to me. No, it doesn't make a lick of fucking sense. But that was her firm belief. That was her absolute firm belief. And I just looked at her and I thought to myself, well, This ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, emphasis on the first date.
First and last, maybe. Yeah.
JK, I just accepted your request to come up. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened.
they came up and then dropped immediately. I don't know what
Oh, it
happened.
might have been an accidental request. That happens sometimes when we're tapping on the screen. Dot 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 dot. So yeah, I am I'm trying to figure out ways to make this make sense. I think the only way to do it, the only way to make sense of what's happening in America now is to use a cliche and follow the money. Because the people that are occupying this crime family that's posing as an administration are all greedy, filthy animals. And they don't care what it takes to expand their wealth. None of them need money. Not one of them needs money. You know, even down to the senators that are making a couple $100,000 a year above board, and probably several other $100,000 a year in other ways. But even someone that's you know, a senator or congressperson, they don't need money the way the average person needs money. They get their health care that's complete and for the rest of their life. They don't need money. They're not stressed out like other people are. You know, like America is the only developed country in the world where if you get sick or injured, you could lose absolutely everything. That's fucking insane. So these people that decided to raid the Treasury and end services and benefits for the most vulnerable people in America just so they could have more of what they absolutely don't need is the only thing that makes sense to me. Because there's no political strategy that this serves. There's no security strategy that this serves. There's no economic strategy that this serves. In fact, it does the opposite and hurts us economically. So there's no part of what a government is designed to do for a country that fits the paradigm of their behavior. None. Right? So the only thing that I can think of, just me, one fat, sweaty, talking monkey can come up with, is that it's just to feed their insatiable desire for more. So anybody can comment on that.
Well, Elon Musk is a perfect example of that.
100%.
I mean, theoretically, he doesn't need an extra dime, but he keeps acting like that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting.
Draw straws.
It's interesting.
Rock, paper, scissors. No, go ahead, Vicky. Go ahead, Vicky.
It's interesting that back, you know, at the turn of the, you know, like the 1900s, all the billionaires, instead of, you know, trying to see who could make the most money, tried to see who could give the most money and be the most philanthropic. And now we have these guys trying to, you know, see who can get the highest into space or who can get to freaking Mars first. When we have people that are hungry. You know, I live in a state with the highest amount, you know, we're number one in food insecurity. Yet, you know, we also are the state that has some of the wealthiest people in it, the Waltons. It's unreal.
Oh, talk about a despicable group.
Yeah, there's only one of
how
them
could a
that's worth
phrase
anything.
like food insecurity even exist in America? It makes no sense. The only thing that explains it is greed. Because there is no reason, there's no logical reason why America doesn't have everything for everyone. And by everything, I just mean the security of shelter and food in your belly, right?
Exactly.
Everything else is a fucking perk. And frankly, even shelter is a perk. But like, just to have the necessities to live, just to fucking live, right? Everyone needs to have that. It makes absolutely no sense. Oh, right, it's funny. I've been on like a while, and I totally forgot to send out a notification to my group that I was on. Though my agency manager knew I was on, and she came on earlier. That's one of those oversights on my part, because I have a strong case of the can't remember shit disease. So anyway,
That's why I write the same stuff for 5 different places, and if I'm lucky, that causes me to remember it.
yeah, I normally don't rely on my memory for anything. I have a checklist that I go down when I start my lives. And, I was feeling cocky today and decided I didn't need it. And it turns out I was wrong.
See, and you're dehydrated now.
Maybe. I don't think I am, because I hydrated all day. I think I'm just moist.
Oh, don't use that word.
See, we tried to get you to go get your water. We were just talk amongst ourselves.
I am moist from the humidity. No, I've gone through this without
better.
water
That's
before. But
When you
yeah,
add it from the humidity.
yes.
You're being a
It doesn't
goober.
make it all that much better, but yeah, it's a little better. So OG, your thoughts on this?
I forgot where we were at.
We're at, like, what is the reason? I laid out my thought process for why this level of cruelty is happening, and that it's directly connected to the level of greed and callousness that they have. So that's where we were.
Well, if you look at the amount of wealth in this country and the wealth distribution in this country, and you look at that chart, it's just astonishing, because we don't have a middle class anymore.
Right.
It's diminished so much that all we have is the wealthy, which would be your run-of-the-mill, above $400,000 a year, up to about $1 million, and then we have your ultra wealthy, your multimillionaires, and your billionaires,
Right.
and that's it. The rest of us are working poor or in poverty.
Right. Vicky, you mentioned something earlier, I believe, with regard to how entrepreneurs used to measure their worth by how much they gave away. That was actually incentivized by FDR, because for, I think, 3 or 4 decades, the highest nominal tax rate in America was 92%. And what a lot of companies did to avoid paying that was reinvest in their businesses through educating their employees, skill training for their employees, equipment, technology, that kind of thing, facilities, all that stuff, right? And so once Reagan came in and took a wrecking ball to the New Deal, it's been going downhill ever since. And that's where the enormous disparity between the wealth class and everybody else began getting worse and worse. Like Reagan was a horrendous president. People feel warm and fuzzy about him because of how eloquently he could read other people's words. I respect Obama because not only did he read the words beautifully, he mostly wrote all of his speeches, which is unheard of. It's extremely rare that presidents write the majority of their speeches, and he did. But what Reagan did to the economy, we're still feeling. We're still in the throes of that madness. Oh, well, it looked like someone requested up. Rev did, but then disappeared. An accidental discharge, I suppose. But Rev, thank you for being here. Laddie, thank you for the heart. CC, thank you for the heart. And if you haven't done so already, go get your orange / yellowish orange daily Heart Me. What's great is that when you click on the Heart Me, be patient, because a page pops up that says if you do this, this, and this, if you make a comment, you get X many points. If you do this, you get X many points. You get like 60 points altogether. They're fan points. I don't know exactly what they do, but I figure if TikTok is giving out points, I get them every time I land on a live. So that's a good thing.
It doesn't hurt, and it takes an extra minute or two. So why
Yeah. It's I'm done in like 20 seconds. It's like click, 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 click. I know exactly how I have to do it. And I love getting stuff, even if the stuff is almost meaningless.
Too. I totally understand.
Oh, Danny's saying he got all the cables. Nice. Okay. Sorry, I'm very invested in Danny's technology, so I had to take a moment to acknowledge that. So yeah. Again, I think it's all a real shame. I think it's so nakedly obvious what's happening in America, and the only people that don't see it because they don't want to see it. It is not ignorance. We are way past the point of ignorance. We've been screaming at these people for 10 fucking years. And they just choose not to hear it. It's the la 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 kind of shit, you know? Folks, we're at 46,000.
If they do see it, they claim that
let's
it's
get
fake
to
news or something.
50,000. Yeah, fake news is their first thing. And that was a brilliant maneuver on Dump's point, because that's what every wannabe dictator does. They vilify the press. So you've gotten to a point where people have given up trying to figure out what's real and what's not, because everybody's screaming fake news all the time, and everybody's both sizing it. Oh, Democrats are no different than Republicans. Like, fucking hell, they're not. That's insane. Jeannie. All right, Jeannie's coming up. So suddenly people can request up. I don't know what's going on. Some people can, some people can't. Jeannie, how you doing?
Hey, I'm okay. How are you doing?
Aside from moist from humidity, I am wonderful.
I get that. Look, I'm moist all the time. Okay, well, not in the places I'd like to be. But you know what I'm saying? Okay, stop it.
If I talk low into the mic, will that help?
Yeah, it absolutely always does. How dare you? How dare you?
I abuse my power sometimes. I apologize.
Send me some voice notes, baby. How's everyone's night going?
Oh, I'm having a hot flash right now.
Me too, girl. What? Oh my god.
I love it. Oh,
what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
We are talking about, I'm open to any conversation, but I started off talking about how completely and utterly and disappointingly absurd it is for Donnie Dump to answer a very important question about the state of affairs in America with, I haven't thought about it.
Oh my God,
I think that happened Friday. No, I wish I was. I wish I could joke about this shit. We are so beyond parody. Even The Onion is quiet these days because there's nothing to parody.
You know? No, there's nothing to parody because it's all real life.
It's all
can I guys? Life. Okay, I was just in another live. Can I kind of go off for 1 second?
Sure, please.
Okay, so I was in another live, a friend of mine's, and it was mostly a lot of like, left leaning people, but there was a right leaning person who regretted his vote, and we were having a really nice conversation. And this guy jumped in. I think his name was Dun Dun or some shit, which I think I'd seen before. But I was like, not able to. I'm not a mod. Haven't been in this live very long, so like I was trying to hold my tongue basically. So basically, it's this person of color, this black guy. Sorry, I didn't want to say that because look, okay, I'm biracial,
Hmm.
but I always never really know where I can say things. But it's this black guy who fucking jumped in and was like, "Oh, I love it that Donald Trump is doing what he's doing, but I'm upset that he's not kicking people out faster and more inhumanely, basically." And he kept going, and I was kind of like it was a panel full of white people, and I was trying to tell them, look, this guy, he is trolling you. He's trying to fucking goat you. And they were not listening to me, and then they kicked me. I had
Hmm.
like a little moment of a conversation with him, and then I kept trying to tell him, look, no, because he was saying some real wild shit. Like he was
Yeah.
saying things like, oh, I think Germany did the right thing. And I think he was just trying to like get as much of a
Yeah.
reaction as he could, and I got that. But I was trying to be like, no, listen, this is what he's doing. You need to kick him, and they
This
didn't.
is
They kicked
yeah.
me instead.
Of course, yeah, yeah. That's happened to me before. You know, this fits perfectly into my description of the average MAGA hat. They are
Mm-hmm.
infantile, and if you read even one article about child psychology, you'll see something to the effect of children would rather be praised than punished, but they'd rather be punished than ignored. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the infantile mentality that these people bring into these conversations. Not I'm here because I have a strong stance on something. I'm here because I'm pathetic and lonely and need people to pay attention to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And not even that, but it was like, because we had this lovely panel and a little bit of opposition, but the opposition was respectful. And then this one person comes in not being respectful, and it kind of, I think everyone's, what do you call it? Everyone's blood pressure kind of went up a little bit, like, oh, everyone wanted to jump in.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, and I get that. And I absolutely get that. That is absolutely the reason sometimes I jump in these lives. But it's not always productive. It's not always in any way like good for anyone or any part. And it's just a strange thing. Sorry.
No,
Yoda, can I just say one thing?
yeah, yeah, please.
Why you gotta be so cute?
Me?
Yeah, also that
Thank,
beard is
thank, thank, thank my
gorgeous.
mother and father for that. It's funny. Um, my father was a beautiful man. My mother was a beautiful woman, and
And you're a beautiful man.
thank you. And so I won the genetic lottery as far as that. But my father was also a sociopath, and my mother was bitter and angry. So it was a tough go for me. But I got something out of the deal. You know what I mean?
Okay, wait. Yoda, I gotta tell you. So there's a comment that says, "Oh man, here comes the moisture." That's a good one. And then Rev says, "I'm biracial, which no one can ever tell, but I was raised in a black community, and no one there gets it." Listen, Rev, I get it. Look, I look like I'm not biracial. Well, people always look at me and they go, "What are you?" And I don't know how to fucking answer that. The thing is, it took me a very long time to not be proud of my black heritage, but to be able to be proud of it, because I always felt like I wasn't black enough to, like, say, I'm black. You know, I'd always tell people I'm mixed race or biracial or meh, 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 meh. But you know what? I am extremely proud of my black heritage. And sometimes you have to say, I'm proud of being black. I consider myself black, even though I'm not completely fully black. You can test my blood, which I'd, you know what I mean? It's one of those crazy things. I'd rather that did not happen and people get crazy, but I am black and I'm extremely proud to be it. But I'm not going to ever say that, like, I don't understand what white privilege is, because of the way I look. I know that I have and I've seen and know what white privilege is. So that's the difference. But I'm not going to ever say that I'm not proud to be black.
I'm looking up this film. There's a film about a woman who's like a maid, and she has a very light-skinned daughter, and apparently it's sort of loosely based on Aunt Jemima, which is not a real woman, but the story of Aunt Jemima. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I can find this.
Well, wasn't it actually based on an actual woman, but they never would have
No,
given her the actual...
no, that's a wives' tale.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to see if this is the one, Imitation of Life
What's wrong?
from 1934. The reason I was thinking about that is because Mom is a dark-skinned black woman. Her daughter is light. And when she came home from school, she asked her daughter something like, "How's everything going, sweetheart? Are you passing?" And for the people that don't understand, she wasn't asking about school. She was asking, "Are you passing as white?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll say this, and then I'll open it up to everybody else's comments. I am Dominican. I have no sense of pride whatsoever about that, because I didn't choose to be Dominican. It took no effort for me to be Dominican. It's not something I accomplished. Now, of course, I don't begrudge anybody's pride on any aspect of their life, but that's why I'm not proud to be an American. I'm not proud to be a Dominican. I had no part in any of that. That's just my particular take on it.
I just want to go back to something that Jeannie said.
Sure.
It kind of... I find it extremely rude that someone would look at another person and say, "What are you?"
I agree.
I that's just...
I agree.
It broke my heart.
Yeah,
It happens
well,
all the time,
we
and
can't after a while you have to develop well, let me stop myself. What I decided to do is develop a grading system for insults. There are very purposeful and mean-spirited insults, and there are completely unintentional insults, and probably some shades in between those two. There are people that are insulting to me without ever meaning to be. When I was a teenager, what I heard all the time was, "You're so well-spoken." And the only people that ever said that to me were white tea people. And under my breath, I would think to myself, well, go fuck yourself. Because the faulty presupposition that that compliment was based on was that I wasn't supposed to be that well-spoken. And It wasn't my imagination, because I've been around a lot of white tea folks in my life. I've banged a bunch of them too. I'm very happy about that. But
You just say
the
you banged a bunch of them?
I did.
He
Wow.
I
just said
did.
that. Yep.
Yeah, I did.
Well,
My dating history resembles two things that I think we can all picture in our minds. One, a session at the United Nations, and two, the evolutionary chart.
there you go.
Wow. I love that.
And
Um,
I've been blessed in that department, so I'm very happy. That's why for the last 3 years, I've basically retired, because I had a nice 40-year run where I got to bang everything that I wanted to, and now I'm tired and I don't want to be bothered anymore.
gotcha.
My best friend's son, her oldest son, is biracial, and he was raised for a time by his black grandfather, and he made him speak properly, and because he did not want him to sound like a hood rat. And if Anthony would start talking like his friends, he would get scolded. And so, I mean, Anthony is a very well spoken young man, but he's always had that struggle because he looks more like his father than he looks like his mother.
So
Because
what his father was doing was understanding the same thing that I understood when I was raising my son. People criticize me for being too strict with my son, and I said the same thing every time. I said, A, I'm raising a black man in America, and whether you understand it or not, that means something. B, I'm not raising a child. I'm raising a man. And if you're raising a man, you've got to give that man survival tools. And in America, if your skin is brown, you just flat out have to be better than everybody just to be considered average.
I think, that's probably spot on because that was his grandfather. He was very, very smart about and very astute about things like that. He was never, educated beyond probably the fifth or sixth grade, but he, whenever it came to what he needed to know to succeed in the YT world and for his grandson, he took care of him. And so Anthony's my crazy, I call him my nephew, even though he's just my best friend's son.
Hey, we all do that. I've claimed my best friend's daughter as my niece also, so I get it.
Hey, Yoda,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta jump down for a sec.
All right.
Or a couple of minutes, okay?
All right.
Gotta take my dog to do her thing, but I might be back, okay?
I'll drop you down. Got it. All right. I posted this, I think yesterday or the day before, and I want to get everybody's reaction to this. Because some people tell me I'm wrong for saying this. Hi, Cherry. Thank you for the heart me. I posted, without racism, race would not exist. Do you think that's right or wrong? We'll go from the bottom up. OG Nerd, you start, please.
I
There's no wrong answers, by the way. So
no, I mean, well, I'm thinking, I'm thinking it through in my head, and yeah, without racism, maybe race wouldn't exist because we would just be, um, we would just be fellow men and women.
yeah, I mean
And
the word using the color white to describe yourself as your race, first of all, is erroneous because there's no country called WHITE in the world, right? But it only started happening after Europeans started kidnapping people and bringing them to America. Then that was a
Right.
way to distinguish, because the N word is based on the Spanish word for color, which is negro, which means black, right? And so that whole bifurcation of black and white was clearly a racist function.
Yeah, it was created. That was created when they first introduced slavery to the new world, as they called it, and they needed a delineation between the workers and the owners,
Right.
and also the indentured servants, because often the indentured servants and the slaves would get together and form rebellions.
A lot more
And
than people
so,
think.
right, and they were successful in many instances.
Hmm.
And so what they did is they got the indentured servants and said, "Hey, you're kind of like us because you have the same skin color." And they created this thing called whiteness, and that's where whiteness came from. Because before then you were English, you were Irish, you were German, you were Portuguese, whatever the case may be, but you certainly weren't white.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Vicky, your thoughts? Without racism, race wouldn't exist. What do you think?
I tend to agree. I think that if we were given if there were no racism, we would all be one color. Because without racism, there would be none of the hate and the bias. So there would not be this, oh, well, you can't date that guy. You can't have sex with that guy. You can't have that guy's babies. So there would be no distinction. We would, I don't understand why there's got to be this purity of race. I have never understood that. And, I mean, good God, I'm blinding in the sunlight. I'm so YT, but, you know, it's, but I've never understood the reason why people have to be, that way. I never, I was never around someone that I would have found to make that choice.
Well, here's what I think. Just like cancerous cells start off as healthy cells, and for an oversimplified description, there's a communication breakdown and a breakdown in some vital functions of a cell that turn it cancerous. Same thing is true of territorialism and tribalism. Humans are just like every other mammal. We are, for the most part, there are some exceptions to this, but for the most part, we are territorial and we are tribal. We figured out early in our evolution that there's strength in numbers, and when you prioritize your tribe, you have the highest probability of survival. And when you're in a tribe, there are always possible threats from other tribes. Because if you're on the plains of the Serengeti and you're hunting and gathering and raising your children, doing all that, and then suddenly over the ridge, there are people coming towards you, and there might be as many of them as there are of you, or close to the same, and you have to figure out quickly whether they're friend or foe. And if you have a bad experience with that group of people, the next group of people that approaches you are going to automatically be judged as dangerous. But that's a malfunction in judgment, because now you're not judging, you're prejudging, right? And so I think that's where that comes from. There's this natural function that's baked into our DNA for self-preservation, but if it goes wrong, you know, in some part of that mechanism, that tool for self-preservation could become a tool for hatred and prejudgment. Eddie, your thoughts on this?
5 minutes ago, I was tempted to say no, but now because the things that I thought race needed to be there to distinguish or whatever, it's like you have that with culture and ethnicity and heritage and language and all of these other factors that still exist if you get rid of race. So I'm on board with where I think with what you're suggesting at this point.
Yeah, I think that I laugh when someone is trying to talk up their culture and they say something completely meaningless like, my culture's really into family. And I go, oh yeah, that's amazing. Not like those cultures who are completely anti-family, right? Who the fuck is anti-family? Please.
Well, they wouldn't still exist if they
Yeah,
were. I mean,
my culture's really into food. We love food. Really, Sparky? You like to eat? Isn't that amazing? That thing that you have to do so that you don't drop, you like that? Oh, good. The thing that your body runs
Right.
all sorts of endorphins through your bloodstream to reward you for keeping yourself alive. You like that? Wow, that's amazing. That makes you so unique.
Well, and we've gone through so much over the centuries and stuff that no matter what you think is going on, your culture has borrowed so much from everybody else's culture
Of course.
that
Of
whether
course.
you realize it or not, you just, yeah.
These are all constructs. To think that like a human being born in, let's say, Papua New Guinea, or in the Arctic as an Inuit, or in Sweden, or in Central America, is that they are all somehow inherently different from one another is laughable. We are all inherently the same. There is only one race, right? The human race, that's it. Most of these variations are based on imaginary lines in the sand that people decided to draw for commerce, right? Or imaginary ideas that your particular version of human is somehow different than other versions of human. Most of what's different about us is completely superficial. Like Bill Clinton said something in a speech many, many moons ago, and because he's an inveterate liar, I fact-checked him, and it turns out that he was telling the truth this time. He said that only 1/100% of DNA is different among all human beings. All human beings. The 100 to 150 billion people that have crossed this earth and the 8 billion that are here now, that's it. 1/100% is what makes us different. And we're dazzled by skin tone and eye shape and the funny sounds we make with our mouths to communicate. We think that that makes us really different. Come on, man. It doesn't. Everyone wants to live. Everyone wants to. And of course, there are deviants and there are deviations. I get that. But by and large, everyone just wants to survive. They want to find food to shove into their food hole, right? They want to protect the people that they care about. They want to make more people or practice a lot doing that. Whatever it is, that's what people are here for. It's like, okay, what keeps us alive? Air, water, and food in order of importance, right? Those three things literally keep us alive. Everything else after that's a bonus, right? Whether you live indoors or not, whether you live in a cold place or a warm place, all of that stuff. And after you satisfy those needs, the rest is about enjoyment, right? Like, so it's like food, shelter, clothing, and orgasms. That's kind of what everybody's looking for, right? To one degree or another. And so to suggest that because someone was born in a country that has different vowel sounds to identify the country, suddenly they're this completely different type of human being that wants a completely different set of things than I do. It's just, to me, it's childish, and it's unfortunate that such a childish notion is at the heart of all this racism.
Well, it's even more childish when you look at a country like the U.S., where over 25% of the landmass used to belong to Mexico, for example. I mean, it just, it, and that's just one example of the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
just,
No, that's a great point. And here's the ultimate irony for me. Just because, like, I like to boil things down to its essence, to their essence whenever I can. And what I see going on in America right now is descendants of immigrants, being angry at newer descendants of immigrants,
yep.
right? Because most of America, if you consider yourself American, is made up of immigrants, people that came here from all of the lands that the Statue of Liberty invited here, right? You
I
go
mean,
back
people
far
who are
enough in your
native that I
lineage,
know personally, I can name on like two hands. That's the number of people that I know are native that I know personally. I mean,
I
maybe a
mean,
few
think
more than
about
that, but you
this.
get the idea.
Think about how crazy time is. 1865, when the emancipation happened, is two old people ago. That's it. Two people that lived to like
What year
80.
did you say?
1865. It's only two old people ago.
Yeah, my great great grandmother was born in 1888.
There you go.
She lived to be 104.
Yeah, my grandmother was born 12 years after that in 1900, and she lived 85 years. But that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this, it's not that long ago. So, like, anyway, Eric, welcome. How you doing? Hello, Eric. Did you come up by accident, Eric? Seems that that might be the case. Bye-bye, Eric. All right. So we're about to wrap it up. Thank you for getting me to 60,000 likes, everybody. Thank you for all the great comments, the gifting, the sharing, all that stuff. I love that you folks are so enthusiastic about bringing people into the room and about having meaningful conversations. So final thoughts, going from the bottom up again. OG Nerd, what would you like to say about it? Anything we've talked about or anything else?
Well, first of all, you should really warn somebody before you say orgasm. And I'm being a sweetheart. I about choked.
It's not as funny if I warn you, so I can't promise that.
That being said, I think that we need to sit down and have more of these conversations about race um and its and its importance and its origins um, and its impact on the U.S. Because I think it's such an important part of our history, and I think the only way forward, um, an honest way forward, is to have that honest conversation. And the way that the history is being taught, the way they're trying to teach history now, is not having that honest conversation.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite, actually. You made me
Exactly.
think of something. Whenever I hear people say God should be taught in school, and I go, all right, after page 1, where you go, God did everything, what else you got? And I feel the same way about race. After you go, well, race is meaningless. It's just some shit we made up. What else is there to teach? You know what I mean? But yes, in an overarching way, I absolutely agree with what you've said. And thank you so much for being here as always. And thanks again for the great feedback on my reading of Richard III. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Vicky, final thoughts.
Well, I had a whole other area I wanted to talk about, but we can keep that for another day.
Well, no, if
Um,
you please feel free to bring it up.
oh, there was an Aaron Parnas piece that came across earlier that he was urging all of the red state governors to create their own
Mm-hmm.
camps.
Yeah.
And I know I've talked about this a little bit, and I've done some diving, and I know my governor has some underhanded dealings going on because she was doing stuff before he even got into office, which kind of makes you think, but
And who's your governor again?
it's Sarah,
Oh,
Whataby Sanders.
Hucksterby.
We call it with an F,
Yeah.
but
Stir.
Yeah.
but
Sarah Dumpster
she's
Firebee.
just, it's F.B. Sanders.
Yeah,
But,
I felt bad for the residents when you guys had your environmental thing happen, but I just thought there's a little bit of satisfaction I have with someone that was such a simp for him just getting completely ignored by him.
yeah,
That there's a
I
German
feel
word.
bad for the people.
Oh, totally. That's, there's a German word that people usually only explain halfway. It's Schadenfreude, right? People think what Schadenfreude means is that you derive pleasure from somebody else's misfortune, but that's only half of the definition. Schadenfreude actually means you derive pleasure from somebody else's misfortune, but you feel guilty about deriving that pleasure. So that's what I had when Sarah got her comeuppance at the hands of Dump. It's like I knew it was bad for the inhabitants of the state, but I still felt great that it was happening to her. So
That makes
anyway,
so
Yeah.
much fucking sense.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
But
it's,
yeah, no,
we've got,
this whole thing with red states being encouraged to build more of these things is totally on brand and frankly totally predictable.
I would not be at all surprised to see blue states say adios, over this if it continues.
Well, as a
You know.
Canadian, can I just say,
Yeah.
I can talk to my prime minister. Actually, can't. Look, no, it's not like that kind of thing. But I'm going to pretend that I can talk to my prime minister and be like, hey, let's bring in these states that kind of want to do good. And the thing is that most of the blue states are the ones that make most of the money. So,
Oh, I know.
like, it would never happen. It would never happen. But wouldn't that be great if you guys could just be part of Canada?
I'd love it. I'd love it.
Oh, yeah. My
so
state
I'll-
would be so screwed.
So I'll
Look, can I
say,
can I tell you guys something real quick?
go ahead, please.
Sorry, I'm gonna tell you guys something real quick. Listen, okay. And I know you guys don't know maybe much about Canada, but it's pretty much exactly like, sorry, not exactly like the US. It's a little different. So even in school, we're taught that the
It's like the
US is
U.S.,
a
but
melting pot.
civilized.
No, not even that, but like we actually, in I think it was like grade, I can't remember what grade it was, but it was like grade 6, we're taught the difference between a melting pot and a stew. So, like, the US is a melting pot where it means that there's a bunch of different, you know, ingredients that come from everywhere, but then they all end up looking the same in the pot, right?
Yeah.
But in Canada, it's a stew. So all of the parts that come in get to keep their shape, keep their flavor, everything like that. But it's all still part of the stew, right?
We're
And
more
it
of a
makes
stew than
it,
you realize.
Well, America is actually not a melting pot at all, because a melting
it
pot turns everything homogeneous, where America's more like a salad. Lots of different ingredients, and nothing changes anything else.
A few nuts here and there, yeah.
With
I
a few
get that, I get
nuts.
that.
Yeah.
But also, I did want to say though that like, oh my God, I like watching from Canada. I am so sad. Like every day I wake up, even though I'm not living in America, I wake up every day sad and waiting for the one thing to happen that you guys all know what we
Yeah.
want to happen. Although
Reading
that
the
even if
obituaries.
even if that does happen though, it
Right.
doesn't mean that everything's going to be fixed
No, not at
Well, we
all.
because
know that too.
Yeah.
yeah, already the damage has been done. But I just mean like we're watching in Canada and we're just like, "Oh, brother, come on." You know, I don't even know what to say at this point, but it's like, "Okay, look, Yoda, I love you."
Thank you.
And I think you were trying to do like last what was it?
Last thoughts, and so that's a perfect final thought.
Yes.
So I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that was my final thought. So
All
thank
right.
you for letting me up to say that.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully, we'll see you soon. Have a good night.
Absolutely. Love you. You
All right.
too.
Bye bye. Hey, WKRP, what's up, man? I invited you up, but some people are getting invites, some people are not, and we are closing out. But hello, good to see you as always. So yeah, so Vicky, yeah, that's all very reasonable stuff. I totally get what you're saying there. So thank you again, as always. Have a great night, and we will talk soon. Eddie, you get the final word of the panelists this evening. What do you have to say?
Uh, well, my final word is sort of where we haven't gone, but I'm going to go there right now.
Excellent.
And that is, there was somebody who proposed a couple days ago that the only way we're going to get out of this is through some kind of violent means, which I hope is not the case, but it feels like the only option to that is if the Democrats get their shit together, and they haven't been doing that. So I don't know. That's not a positive angle of breaking out of here, but that's my 2 cents.
No, that doesn't have to be positive. I don't ask people to put a positive spin on anything. You know, when I ask for thoughts, I want thoughts, whatever they happen to be. I appreciate your contribution to our conversation tonight. Of course, you're welcome anytime. With any luck, I'll be back here tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a great night, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, folks. This has been a lovely conversation. I rarely come in with any like concrete agenda. I had a couple of topics that I brought up at the beginning, and we covered those topics. And then what was great is that it broadened out. The conversation kept going in different directions and kept building. And that's what I love about this live experience. So that is it. That's going to end another Yoddah Live. I'm here Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be shaking things up eventually, but for now, this is how it's going to work. So until we see each other again, Peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.